It's the end of an era. After 5 years of wearing this jersey, it's time for the Allen Robinson jersey to be retired. Allen Robinson, I mean, I know fans here in Chicago aren't necessarily a fan of him with how he left the team and whatnot, but the story with this jersey is very special to me. It's not something for this video, but I've had this jersey for 5 years, and once again, Robinson, for the couple people who've told me, is that a Velus jersey? It's not a Velus Jones jersey. It was an Allen Robinson jersey. I know he left a couple years ago, but I had still been wearing it. But it's time for a new jersey to enter the ring, and it's Jalen Johnson, the star corner for this Bears team. So back to another current roster player. Refresh the whole cycle. First time on this channel I wear a Bears jersey, not with the number 12 on it, which is incredibly ironic considering certain things from a certain team up north. Kind of ironic, I know, but don't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, this is actually the first jersey I will wear that is not for a wide receiver. This dates back to my first jersey ever, which was a Devin Hester jersey. I then got an Alshon Jeffrey jersey. Got my Robinson jersey. First non-receiver that I will be wearing on my chest. Number 33, Jalen Johnson. Out of Utah. I know, if you know what this right here means, it's a little bit ironic, but enough about that. Jalen Johnson himself had a good game, and so did the rest of the team, because the Bears win over the Arizona Cardinals 27-16 at home in a game they really should have won by more. They should have crushed this team. And once again, this game felt a lot like the Commanders game. Now, the reason I say this is because just like the Commanders game, the Bears were coming off blowing a big lead late in a game. Granted, it was not nearly as egregious as the one back in week 4, but still they had blown a fourth quarter double-digit lead. It should not happen. And what is really interesting is the two games were quite similar. In the first half, the Bears just explode. They're able to get it done. They don't have a great first offensive drive, but they go down and they score 3 consecutive touchdowns. A run from Justin Fields into the end zone, a run from Khalil Herbert from 11 yards out. His first touchdown of the season, mind you, which is ridiculous. Khalil Herbert finally finds the end zone. And then a pass in the back of the end zone, 1-yard touchdown pass from Justin Fields to a wide open Marcedes Lewis. Who would have thought? Yes, Marcedes Lewis breaks his own record for oldest player to catch a touchdown pass among tight ends. I think it was only among tight ends because I think there are a couple guys who are older and caught a touchdown in the wide receiver position, but old Marcedes Lewis makes a catch in the end zone for a touchdown. I'll tell you what, I was totally expecting Robert Tonyan to catch a touchdown this season before Marcedes Lewis did. I didn't think Marcedes Lewis was going to have a touchdown this year. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. And yeah, as you notice, I am back in my room, back home for the holidays as per usual during the end of the season. And let me tell you, I'm watching the game with my brother. We both looked at that 21-0 lead just like, oh boy. The fall is going to be so much more brutal if we end up losing this game. Cardinals score 1 touchdown from James Conner, who seems to be like an absolute workhorse with how he played in this game. James Conner had a great game, scored a touchdown, and frankly, I mean, the fact that the Bears did not let up a second touchdown is huge before the end of the half. Matt Prater booming a long field goal in. As per usual, Matt Prater is fantastic kicker. So the fact that they were up 21-0 and they had seen that lead slip to 21-10 before the end of the first half was not great. And what was even worse was that the Cardinals had the ball to start the second half. Look, the fact that the Bears scored only 6 points after 3 straight touchdown drives is embarrassing. I don't understand. It does not matter who is on the offense, who the offensive coordinator is. This happens to this franchise all the time. They play well for a quarter, couple drives. They're able to put it in the end zone for 10 minutes straight. They get a bunch of points. Can't score for the rest of the game. The offense can't do anything. And whether you want to blame play calling or Justin Fields or receivers or whoever you want to blame, it's they have to be better as a unit, because I'm frankly sick and tired of this team playing well for 1 quarter, 2 quarters, having a offensive explosion, and then the other half of the game, they just look like a completely different team. And it's like, this is usually like a 4th quarter thing too. They see the first 3 quarters, that's mainly Luke Getsy. He looks at the first 3 quarters of offense. He's like, great, we're winning by 10 points. We have 21 points. We have 24 points, 17, whatever, right? We're up by 10. Our defense has been holding and doing a great job. Let's just throw everything out the window and let's just start just doing random things. I will never understand it. This happened last week against the Browns. Happened this week. At the end of that second half, after the Cardinals scored their first touchdown, offensive ineptitude. I genuinely thought, because the Cardinals were going to get the ball, start the second half, that they could have tied the game up at the start of the third if they had scored a touchdown to end the first half. Without Fields having touched the ball, he goes up 14. The next time he touches the ball, the game is tied. Thankfully, that didn't happen. They only scored 3 points on those 2 drives, but we should not put ourselves in this situation. The problem is, as a fan of this team this year, 21-point lead like that, you should be able to be like, all right, cool, we are going to ride this, keep the foot on the gas, because if they score once or twice, we know that we can go out and we can score some more points to bridge the gap and get back in front by multiple possessions, 3 scores, whatever. I cannot feel safe with this team because of the 3 fourth quarter blown leads from the collective team. Not one player, not one coach, not one unit, the entire team. 3 blown leads. And you can blame whoever you want for those 3 blown leads. The fact that they had 3 blown leads really did not make me think that they were safe. And it was the 3-11 Cardinals. That should really tell you everything that you need to know about my confidence in this team right now. I knew they were going to win today. I knew they were going to win this game. But man, did it not feel safe for a second in that second half, because I knew what they had done 3 separate times this season, and it looked like they could have done it again. And they very well could have, because Greg Dortch ripped off a crazy play, catch and run for a touchdown. And at that point, the Bears had only scored another field goal in the third quarter. Oh my goodness. They went for 2, which I thought was a really dumb idea. You're down 14 points. Why are we going for 2 points? it's just a symptom of what the NFL has become in this increasingly aggressive league that we're seeing here. So I don't care for it at all. Not a fan of just going for two when you get the extra point, you're only down 7, and you have Matt Prater's your kicker too. Absolutely stupid decision for Jonathan Gannon, but man, I cannot believe that it was a one-score game for plenty of that fourth quarter. The fact that the Cardinals had a chance to tie the game in the last 4 minutes of this one shows that this team doesn't know how to finish. And the only reason that they were able to finish against Washington and Arizona this season was because those teams were fundamentally worse than this team is, which is hard to think about. And, man, also, really dumb coaching decision for Jonathan Gannon going for it on fourth down as early as he did with all 3 timeouts. I would have punted because guess what? The Bears offense had done absolutely nothing for a couple of drives and your defense was playing great. You were going to get the ball back and you could go down and tie the game. By going for it on fourth down and failing that conversion, the game was over because the Bears were already in field goal range. Santos kicks the game-clinching field goal, and the Bears win by 11, but it's a very unsatisfying 11-point win. If we won by 11 against in New Orleans or Tampa Bay or some of those other teams on the schedule, let's see, like if we had beaten Denver by 11, if we beat the Chargers by 11, I'd be fine. But this is the Cardinals, who many predicted to be the worst team in the league this year. And looked at their team as an openly tanking team. I don't know what it is about this team finishing games, but I have no idea if it is the players can't execute in the fourth quarter. Luke Getsy can't call plays in the fourth quarter because they're incredibly conservative with the lead. And for some reason, they continue to do it, even though it's blown up their face 3 times this year. Or a combination of both. I don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. But it cannot carry on. I know they only have 2 games left, and while there is still a chance they can make it to the playoffs, I'm not holding my breath because they need a ton of help. And of course, if they lose a game, it's over. So I'm not holding my breath that they're making it to the playoffs, but it could happen. It could happen. But it's like, can you tell me? Can you have a convincing win not against a bottom feeder? You have 1 good win this year against the Detroit Lions at home. You should have 2 wins against that team. You confidently beat the Las Vegas Raiders. That's probably the most complete game you've played all year. Against Josh McDaniels and Brian Hoyer. Josh McDaniels fired only a couple weeks after that. Brian Hoyer, a journeyman backup quarterback who has done jack squat in this league. The Washington game didn't even feel comfortable. It was like, 28-7 or 24-3 or whatever? And they started blowing it. And then they were able to pull away, but I don't get it. I don't get it. And there's a lot of talk about things, about Fields, about Getsy, about everything. I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm looking at the games that they have left, and I want to see Justin Fields throw for 300 yards. I know he's been great at having 250-plus all-purpose yards, and that's fantastic. I think that is a very overlooked stat in this league. A lot of fans really focus on the yards through the air, not the all-purpose yards, which includes the air yards and the run yards. I think it's important because we're moving away from the gunslinger type attitude. You kind of have to be a dual threat to be one of the best in the league. Look at what Lamar Jackson's been doing this year. Look at what Patrick Mahomes has been doing this year. I mean, I know Joe Flacco's been just a sensation, but I can't see another situation where that's like I think Joe Flacco is showing that you can still be successful as a pocket passer in this league. But so many coaches love the all-purpose and the dual threat, and I think it helps Justin Fields' game a ton. I want them to try things. I know you still have a shot at going to the playoffs. In this first quarter against Atlanta, in this next game, try a couple things. Through the air, specifically. Try some new things. Where is the intermediate passing game? I am so sick and tired of passes being either in front of the sticks, sub 10-yard little screen passes, little dinky passes, or an absolute 30, 40, 50-yard bomb down the sideline. Where is the 15 to 20, 15 to 25 pass range? And it's not like they're having trouble with blocking this year. The offensive line is much improved. Fields is doing a good job holding on to the ball. He's holding on to the ball a little too long in plenty of scenarios, but one thing that's changed from last year to this year, he is still looking downfield. He's not just pulling it down and taking off the second there's any pressure in the pocket. He is still looking downfield for passes. Now, again, I haven't watched a ton of all 22, so do I know on some of these passes that all the receivers are covered and he has to run, or if he's missing these throws and just not, I don't know what it is. But, I want to see them work play action. I want to see them do some different things. Because guess what? Even if you make the playoffs and stumble in at 8-9, you're getting absolutely crushed by either the Niners or the Eagles or the Cowboys or whoever wins the NFC East or the Niners or potentially even Detroit. It's going to happen. If you play Detroit, that's your only shot at winning a playoff game if you do squeak into the playoffs. That's it. I hate to break it to you guys, at least the Bears fans that are watching this. Not happening. They make it to the playoffs, they ain't doing anything. It'll be nice to watch, but we all know they have no expectations. I want to watch a team that goes in having some sort of fighting chance in the playoffs. I want to watch a playoff game where going into it, I'm not just sitting there saying, they're going to get completely crushed. Like I did in 2020. Like that was a fun game. But if, I don't know. I want to see some experimentation, and I want to prepare Fields this is what I said last year. And I didn't really see much of that. They played horrible in their last couple games. Of course, Fields didn't play in their last game. But after they lost to Green Bay in Week 13 and had to bye their last 4 games, it just didn't look like they looked deflated. They didn't try anything. I want to see them try something. I want to see them try something new. I want to see them try something different. I want to see them try something experimental while I have the chance. Give Justin Fields the in-game reps with this stuff that he's not used to now, so he knows what it feels like in the game. Mainly this week, because they got the Falcons. Next week against Green Bay, different story because it's the Green Bay Packers. It is a play, even if it isn't for a trip to the playoffs or anything. It is an important game, and you gotta stick with what you got. It's like that's a game you kind of prepared completely differently for. I know Matt LaFleur does. I would assume that this team does the same thing, but the way that they've played against them the last 5 years, I don't know. So, yeah, I just... And by the way, I am totally out on Caleb Williams. I don't want to draft him. Not in the slightest. I want to stick with Fields, mainly because I do not want to reset the clock. I do not want to reset the clock. We've done this twice now. I want to give him another year to try and make it work. Because guess what? There are a bunch of quarterback prospects next year. I know they may not get the one next year, and they won't get the one next year because they're too good to be the number one pick team. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you just trade away the first pick again. There's so much with us having the first pick this year that throws a wrench into so many offseason plans that we would be judging right now. There's so many things that I can talk about at the end of the year, and I will at the end of the year. But yeah, this is a very interesting game. It kind of was a game that happened. Really even wasn't that interesting. I don't know why I used that word. It's kind of a game that happened and the Bears won. Nothing really incredibly special. Khalil Herbert had his best game of the year. He's struggled this year. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully that can show that he can actually run the football. But anyways, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Enough rambling. We'll see what they can do against the Falcons this weekend to try and keep their slim playoff hopes alive. So that's, I don't know. I want to see good things from the offense. I want to see consistency. I don't want to see inconsistency. I want to see good play calling, not giving up on 3rd and longs. God, is that the most annoying thing? On 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, just giving up on the drive and throwing a screen pass because you know you're not getting it. That shows weakness. That shows that you're giving up. That is a horrible mindset. And that needs to change. So I want to see the offense play well because the defense has been playing fantastic. This pretty much really the back half of the season. They have played great. And I would love for another win, kind of get to that 7-win range that a lot of people kind of expected us to be at this year. Kind of improve, but not really knock on the door for a playoffs, kind of be next year. Of course, there were definitely Bears fans who thought we were going to be much better. Don't know what the hell they were thinking, but you know, that happens. It happens. So I expected this team in the 7 to 8 win range, maybe even 6 if they lost a couple. So I mean, they've kind of played fine. They've doubled their win total now from last season. I mean, if they win their next 2 games and go 8-9, even if they do miss the playoffs, it's a 5-game turnaround. And that is huge. Huge. To win 5 more games than you did the year prior. It's out of this world. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more reactions from me. And with that, I bid you adieu. See you in the next one, guys.